What's going on, everyone? My name's Will Wofford. I'm here with my friend Keith Shevelin. Going to bring you another episode of Trekker's Delight. Tonight, we're going to be covering not one, but two Lower Deck Season 5 episodes. They were really, really good. And yeah, honestly, we need all the Star Trek that we can get this week. So, without further ado, what do you say, Keith?
It's just rolling.
Got it. Here we go.
Every other vote.
And you gotta admit, the dude that was coming down the aisle, he was kind of cute. I didn't care about Michael.
Here we are. Welcome once again to Trekker's Delight.
Like, literally, my mic falls down just as we go live. Hi, everybody.
Who you gonna be?
The captain of the Enterprise Z.
Love that baseball and the teacup, like clearly TNG DS9 fans.
Man, that we see power rates at some point in this season.
What is going on?
Power had shit to do with the power rates.
No, everybody, this is actually one of the main screenwriters for Prodigy, so we are super excited to hear from you. And
No one
also,
listens.
I'm a little embarrassed for being as critical.
Man, I really love that intro.
This was a nice touch. So it's frequently bothered me whenever we're rewatching when Marie starts to introduce Aaron Walkian that we have in the opening now, and you have Michael yell out Noah Lessing, and I always think, what the heck was he talking about? And I have not felt like the need to go back and rewatch that episode from 2 years ago now. In fact, it was 2 years ago this week that happened. But the boys at Mission Log have been reviewing Qo'noS, the season 5 and season 6 start of Voyager, and Noah Lessing was one of the Qo'noS crew. So that's the connection he was making. Yeah, we must have been talking about that episode.
We had to have been
prior to that, which okay. But it's still just feels awkward. Like here's Marie introducing this writer producer of Star Trek that's watching our show,
right?
And Michael's bringing up a character from 30 years ago.
Like no, I couldn't find a photo of it, but at the beginning of the exotic Nanite hotel, can we? I don't know if it was a joke, but they never addressed it. But this resort floating in space that's the size of a moon, which I feel like is a Star Wars reference in a way. That's no moon; it's a space station. It looked like the intelligence from Voyager, like one of those the spherical thing, and it had the antennas at the top, and it had like the dots in the middle, like from it was the think tank group in Voyager.
Yeah, think tank from season 5 of the Voyager, right?
I was like, who made this thing grow and turn into a whole resort?
Well, Star Trek has a commonality of creating something and then slightly adapting it for other uses. Like regular one in Star Trek 2 was the one space station above Earth in Star Trek the Motion Picture, just upside down.
Right.
And
so speaking of that, one question before we get into the summary. The space station that we saw in Picard, was that was that meant to be like an extension or an evolution of the space station we saw in Star Treks 1 through 6?
Okay, so the space dock that we saw, all right, not Star Trek 1 through 6, we'd start first in Star Trek 3. Because they were returning from having been damaged fighting Khan, and then they of course steal it from space dock. That space dock was retired sometime before Picard season 3, and that's what the Fleet Museum is. They moved it out to that planet to be the Fleet Museum.
Oh,
and then they built a brand new space dock, which is the space dock we saw get destroyed in season 3 of Picard. That's supposed to be, it's larger and it has more wings to it and everything.
that's right. They did it did look like it was destroyed or pretty effed up.
Yeah. Well, their shields went down and they were being fired on by a couple hundred ships at the time. So if it wasn't destroyed, then it's
definitely screwed.
It's now the Swiss embassy.
Okay, so
and that's not a commentary against the Swiss. That's more commentary on their cheese. It's full of holes.
I love how Star Trek just takes like other it's art and it's all Hollywood, but it just reminded me of Lily in First Contact saying, "Wait, the Borg, it sounds Swedish."
Yeah.
And then I find out it's a Swedish band.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so last week we had the exotic Nanite Hotel, where you have the two storylines in this episode. You have the primary storyline, which is our crew being Mariner, Tendi, T'Lyn, Rutherford, and Jennifer going to this resort space station to try to catch a group of nanites that are on the loose. The other storyline, Boimler has been brought in on a secret mission by Commander Ransom and with Lieutenant Commander Billups. They are on the search for a lost admiral who's gone AWOL. So while Boimler and crew are going to a bar, then to a ski resort, then to a lazy river leading to an island that looks only slightly like it's out of Apocalypse Now, to track down the admiral, you have Jennifer acting as if she and Mariner never broke up, even though it's been a whole season since we last saw them as a couple. That was at the end of season 3 that they were a couple, before Mariner left for a short time, first to Starbase 80, then to be an archaeologist before coming back to the crew at the beginning of last season. So the whole time, it's a whole issue of communications. We find out T'Lyn is actually a huge fan of vibrating pipes, specifically a performer named Krog, who is performing at that space station, at that hotel. And everyone's just getting on Mariner that she needs to talk to Jennifer and finally end the relationship. And try to do it, Jennifer let it be known that if nothing goes wrong with this mission, then she's getting promoted and transferred to another ship. So of course Mariner thinks, then problem solved. She's going to be gone. So then she tries to do everything to make sure the mission runs properly, which means that she actually fouls it up and makes it worse, because Jennifer's idea to trap the nanites with a energy cell in a box doesn't work. So then Mariner shoots the energy cell with a phaser to charge it up, and then the nanites go in, but they break loose and grow into an isodecahedron, or 12-sided die, if you will. So then that chase through the resort, capturing people as it go, including Grog, the performer. And they find that there's something actually commanding the nanites. And it isn't until T'Lyn plays some mad reverb on those pipes that we're actually able to break down the nanites. And then they find at its center a miniature Intrepid class starship. And it turns out that they got lost in a fissure in space. Gee, where have we seen a fissure in space before? From an alternate dimension in which everything's tiny. So basically, someplace where you would go, and our little starships that we have here from Eagle Moss would be about the right size, or actually even smaller than this. But yeah. Now, meanwhile, you have Boimler is scared going with Ransom because just before he's about to leave, he runs into Jet Manaver, who has just lost his hands while on an away mission with Ransom.
It's horrible.
And of course, Boimler is scared that Ransom's going to get him killed, or at least, dehanded, maimed in some way. And of course, Ransom is trusting them to be able to do everything. So first at the bar, he wants to send him to talk to these two people, but no, he's supposed to talk to Cretaceans instead. Cretaceans we haven't seen since Enterprise Season 2. And completely forgets that you do not eat or drink in front of Cretaceans. And so they're upset. Ransom has to run in to stop them. But they were able to find out that to go to the resort to try to track down one of the Admiral's compatriots. Then they get there, and Boimler goes to follow the compatriot and ends up on the murder slope. And it flies off a cliff and somehow survives. The person comes up and was amazed that Boimler survived, and he, of course, having no tact here, lets out that he's in Starfleet. So she runs off to the Admiral because Starfleet is here for him. So they make their way through the Lazy River until they finally get to this jungle where they are captured by several Starfleet officers playing hooky. And basically, the Admiral, his role in Starfleet is the milking of space whales, both the Gormagander as well as the Galaxy's Child version. I love when they just reference an episode title. And he obviously, who wants to do that as their job all the time? So he ran off. But Boimler, we find out that Boimler was picked for the mission because he's smart and because he knows those things and because he's skinny and wily and able to crawl into tunnels. And he's able to get past the security and get the Admiral. And then when all of the other Starfleet officers, AWOL Starfleet officers, were asked to defend the Admiral, they're like, no. And everyone just goes on back to their business. And the Admiral, of course, comes in key as taking charge of this ship found in the nanites to help try to get them back to their home dimension.
Sounds familiar.
Yep. I'd just like to point out that when asked about this season of Lower Decks, Mike McMahon, the creator, showrunner, head writer, said, well, we did the overarching story last season. We're not doing that again this season. Liar!
Because now we're seeing holes in pocket dimension or evidence of it in each episode now.
Yep.
As well as a growing beard for Boimler.
Yes. Oh, that was something that they realized that they didn't want to give away, but if you watch very carefully in the trailer, you see the signs of the beard coming in. And it's just pieces of hair in the exotic Nanite Hotel. But then we get Farewell to Farms, where we meet up with Mock, the Klingon commander. We first met in Wage back in the second season, and then returned at the end of last season when his ship had gone missing early on in season 4, attacked by, well, we didn't know at the time, Nick Locarno and his Nova fleet. And then, of course, Mariner finds him on the planet before they make contact with Nick, and that's where we find out that his crew had mutinied against him and taken their ship to join the Nova fleet. But Mariner frees him, gets him out of there, and of course, for the dishonor of the mutiny, he has been kicked out of the Klingon Defense Force and sent back to the bloodworm farm that his family runs, where he lived with his brother and his mother. So we pick up here on the farm. This, for the first time, Lower Decks did not do its regular opening credits.
Right.
Instead, we get this beautiful, serene thing, more indicative of basically what we saw at the beginning of All Good Things in season 7 of TNG. And then various other movies and things about people working the farm. We see him, harvesting the worms, pressing them into the blood wine, and all of it, just living the farm life, and the whole time trying to ignore Mariner on his communicator. Until they go to deliver blood wine to their one bar, and Mariner and Boimler show up. And of course, it's to Mock's absolute disgrace because he was hitting it off with a woman, and Mariner doesn't help with that. And Mariner says, "Yeah, we found some skull on some planet, so Starfleet asked us to bring it back to your Hall of Bones or whatever. And so I figured I'd come in and check in with you." Well, she finds out that, of course, that he's lost his ship. He's no longer a captain. So he says, "We will help you get the captain back." And Boimler brings out the fact that there is a right that he could take to challenge the authority of the Oversight Committee to get a ship back, which is especially problematic because the Oversight Committee is headed by the brother of the captain that he killed back in Waste in season 2. So they take their case to the Oversight Committee, and we find Mariner's friend Clorin back from season 1, the second episode of Lower Decks.
That's right.
Is one of the 3 members of the committee. And of course, they take the challenge. They need 4 people. So, of course, it's Boimler and Mariner and Mock's brother. First, they have to try through the trials of pain, where they're hitting with pain sticks. And Boimler is all for it. Now that he's actually got an actual mustache and the beard's coming in a little bit more, he's getting much, much more confident in things. So they get through the trial of pain by actually all getting in together, so that when the final pain sticks, which should be enough electricity to kill them, instead by the brother carrying the 3 of them, when they hit him with the pain stick, the electricity gets shocked through all 4 of them, dissipating it enough that it doesn't hurt them. So then they make it through, and then the second one is fighting the giant Targ, and of course Boimler runs right up and gets on it, and nothing. But the brother this time knows how to take it down. They all were able to get separate legs and basically hog tie it. The head of the committee then tries to say, "Oh, all right, now do its nails and do it, fluff its coat and clean its teeth." This Barg.
They need a giant douche for that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just real quick, the woman that was hitting on Mock at the bar, Talara, was voiced by Discovery's own Mary Chafo.
I knew that voice sounded familiar. I was like, wait, why does this sound? Because I was like, no, I don't know this Klingon, but I know this voice.
Yep, I'm blanking on her character's name right now from Discovery. But yes, the Klingon chancellor from end of season 1 on L'Rell. Yeah, that actress returns here in this episode of Lower Decks as a different Klingon. So then the next stage of the trial is that Mock has to be willing to sacrifice one of his crewmen. He decides to sacrifice himself. And the committee gets Barg to take a break, and figured they could draw it out and make it worse for Mock, because Bargs are about making it worse for Mock as possible. But that's when they figure out that there's another way, by the right of forced conscription, which is actually how this whole idea of this thing happened in the first place. He conscripts Barg into his crew and then chooses him to be the one to sacrifice. And then, of course, he pleads for his life and grants him to have his ship back. But then, as soon as his back is turned, stabs Mock in the back, which is, of course, an extreme sign of cowardice. So he turns his back, pulls the knife out of his back, and uses it to then impale Barg and leave him dead on his chair.
Which is so cool, because I didn't think they were going to go through with killing a Klingon on screen.
Yeah, and they talked about that he didn't want, that Mock was trying to back out of it. His heart wasn't into it by the final thing, because he doesn't want to be in Barg's fleet. And of course, why would you? The guy's an asshole. And so before even killing him, they come up with the idea that he could actually push to get in another another Klingon fleet, another KDF fleet. So apparently, Barg is only for this one section of the fleet, which makes sense when you consider Admiralty and the way to break down the Navy and other forces in our culture. But yeah, so he's being granted his ship back, and that's when we find out that Mariner was not being truthful when she said they were bringing a skull to the House of Bones or whatever. No, it was instead that there was a microfracture in space in Klingon territory, and Barg was blocking them from being able to scan it. So all she needed was a Klingon captain to get around Barg, and she thought Moff would be able to do that, not knowing that he had lost his command and that Barg was Drog's brother. So by killing Barg, we got the ship back. In fact, they're using the ship from the farm to go up, and we don't see them scan the microfracture, but they came back, and our crew heads off. Now, of course, that's the main storyline of Farewell to Farms. The second storyline, we have Tendi and Rutherford working with Dr. Migleemo to welcome two fellow Clothan guests who are the top scholars of their culture, which means the top food critics, transporting them back to their home world. And they hate everything. They hate the taste of the food. Don't even serve us replicated food. What kind of chef are you? Psychologist? So it looks like Migleemo is going to be dishonored by these people. So the crew decides to help him by helping him bake, cook a meal for them. And at the tiniest bites, they both complain about how horribly it tastes, which is absolutely insane, and that he would be dishonored and his whole family will be dishonored, will be pulled from the table, from the seating chart.
It's horrible.
And we find out that Migleemo's culture is all based on food, which really makes sense when the fact that he uses food puns when talking about everything. And so they get to Clortha, they go down, and they're told that there will be an amuse-bouche when they first arrive. And the Clortha people hand over the amuse-bouche to Tendi and Rutherford and Captain Freeman, and then they hand it off to the two food critics, who then slurp it down and say, "Oh, magnificent!" And then Dr. Migleemo smells it, and it smells like shit, because it is shit.
It's shit. The second time we hear a shit reference from Discovery, with replicating technology.
Well, no, in this case, they replicated some manure, and they put it on the food. So
they literally did it.
Yes. Yes, in order to make it taste and smell awful, to prove that the food critics actually don't know what the heck they're talking about. Because Tendi was looking at their most recent reviews, and they were all saying the food was too bland. And Migleemo was even looking over some of these foods, like, these are no way bland food. How is this? And the two finally fess up that they had lost their sense of taste. And for Clortha, that is simply horrible. But Migleemo, being the psychologist, figured out, the fact that you are valued for your sense of taste meant that you put too much faith into it, and so you're going through a psychological problem where you've lost it. And he's willing to help them just as long as they, set them up with free meals, and they do their therapy sessions over dinner at the finest restaurants. Is it ethical? Who cares? Those kinds of chicks. So yes, so Migleemo is redeemed. We learn a bit more about his culture, and they head back to the ship, and of course, that's where we leave it. So 2 episodes in one. I think I got through it pretty easily there.
Pretty good.
Anything I missed out?
I don't think you hit all 4 plots like that for the A and B for both of them. Okay. I must say, it took me watching the Nanite one twice to get into it. The 2 favorite scenes. One was, oh my god, the scream that Boimler let off when he went off the cliff. It was just the one he survived. Ah! And they knew to cut the music and not even zoom in, just let him fall to his almost death. Like, and one, I think we killed Boimler like at least 2 or 3 times by now, and he's not gonna die. He's not gonna die. And then the other part, go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead, finish your thought.
And then the other part was what an excited Vulcan looks like.
Yes. How
like,
wide her eyes are. Yes.
Like the way she said, I am having trouble concentrating type shit. I'm just like, oh my God, this is what an excited Vulcan looks like. Like, because I never really, I thought hard too. I was like, wait a minute. The only other time I saw an excited Vulcan was like genuinely being excited. I mean, yeah, there was Spock finding out that Kirk lived in TOS that moment when he was like, Jim. But I don't really count that. I think there might be maybe it's a Paul. Maybe. But like because not that she was excited, but she was definitely passionate about the subject, about her age. Like she said, I am not old. I am only 66 years old. Like, I'm like, what? But it was pretty cool for Nanite. I loved the references. I loved the miniature Intrepid class ship, which I guess in their universe everything is the right size that it needs to be, until they get into our universe and they find out that they're the same size as Jadzia when she went into that nebula in DS9. So that was cute.
Yeah, they are miniatures. It's kind of taking a step from Gulliver's Travels with the Lilliputians, where Gulliver goes to the island where everyone is very tall. I mean, very small, and he's huge. And then he goes to the island where he's tall and everyone else is huge. So, oh yeah. So interesting things. We're continuing a storyline. We definitely have a continuing storyline. We have Boimler becoming more assertive as he fills in his beard. Now, obviously, it's clear he's never grown out a beard before.
Never.
I know when I was first growing a beard, it would come in and splotchy here and there. And like for the longest time, I couldn't get hair to grow right in here. But shave, grow. Over time, it fills in. And he's doing it to just see what fills in. And so we're seeing that basically we're seeing an actual visual reminder of his growth and change this season in the case of the beard.
Right.
Mariner, I'm not really seeing the signs of her. I mean, she's kind of forced into communicating with Jen. Oh, I didn't mention that Jen was messing with Mariner the whole time. She knows they broke up, but she wanted Mariner to finally acknowledge that they're broken up, that they never talked about it. They just, stopped being together.
Yeah, because Mariner totally ghosted her.
Yes. Well, I mean, Mariner was on her way off the ship heading to Starbase 80, and Jennifer just sort of turned away from her. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. And just showing that a lack of communication is not closure. So we saw Mariner, understanding the need for communication there. And then in this week's episode, it's her supporting someone that supported her. But of course, well, if she would have just come right out and that she was hair from off to help because she needed him to help her, then what do you think? What do you think of her lying to him there? Would he have helped her if she would have just come out and said, "We need your help"?
I think 2 things. Vaguely, I don't think so. I don't think he would have. But on the other half, Mariner, as everywhere as her character is, she's a type of opportunist. and she solves things in the craziest of ways, and she will purposely take the crazy path versus the straight path. So she's once learning that he lost his captaincy, I'm sure in that instant, because she couldn't have thought of it before. In that instant, she was just like, yeah, let's help him get his captaincy back and then do this. Like, knowing the whole time that it could have been just that, but I guess in her mind, where's the fun in that? By just being straightforward with it, when I could just like fight a giant Targ and take in 30,000 Klingon volts of excruciating pain, almost douche a giant Targ, which I'm glad they didn't. And what was the last one? And watch someone die. So, because she knew it wasn't gonna be her. But yeah, I'm like, it's definitely giving that type of energy. So I don't think he would have been so willing to help her. I think he would have wanted to, but I think he would have wanted to. But I think she probably could see that he would have wanted to, but blocked by this Klingon funk he was in, which Klingons are always funky, so I had to emphasize funk. Except for Worf. I never heard of Worf stinking, or B'Elanna. So,
well, B'Elanna, yes, but it was only after being on the Malon ship.
okay.
And that has its own kind of funk going there.
Right. What do you think?
Well, about what specifically?
Well, do you think he would have been willing to help her if she would have been straightforward with it?
I don't know. I think he probably would have told her to go away and just. And I mean, basically, he needed Boimler to get him, to power him to do the challenge and power him through it. I mean, he seemed to not even know that the challenge was a possibility, which was odd compared to his knowledge of Klingon lore and honor.
I have another question for you after you're done with this.
Okay, that's it. What?
Well, we have 6 people watching right now, and one of them has a question. Do you guys think the hotel could be the one from the new comedy series? Is this from the future spinoff we're supposed to get?
Well, considering we don't know anything about the new comedy series other than the fact that there's going to be a new comedy series, maybe.
And you know what's weird? I thought Lower Decks was the comedy series for Star Trek.
It is, yes. But remember, Lower Decks is ending in a few weeks.
It is.
No, they teased back on at Comic-Con that there was going to be a comedy series co-written by Tawny Newsome that would be live action.
Right.
But we don't know any details about it yet. And they said nothing about it at New York Comic-Con and any of the other stuff they've had since. In fact, they made it seem like that maybe they shouldn't have said anything about it before, and that they were now, backtracking on what they said about it.
Right. Interesting.
But it's an interesting thought. I mean, for a live action comedy series, you can't go wrong really with a space station. And basically, I mean, you could go hard-edged like they did with Deep Space Nine, or you could go lighthearted like they did with Faulty Towers and many other great sitcoms over the years.
We need some Quark and Odo energy. So beautiful.
Yes.
Rick, if you are still watching, my friend, I would like to know the basis of where you got this question from, because you said the one from the new comedy series as if you know something about it. So I'm kind of curious as to how you formulated this question, my friend, if you would go ahead and put in another comment for us. So overall, how did you feel about this? And hello to the 6 to 8 people watching, which is great. What did you feel about the episode overall? And was it ghosting that Mariner did,
Oh,
or
yeah.
did she really feel like her girlfriend low-key abandoned her, so it was over?
Yeah, she did. But the thing is, you still got to say the word sometimes. You can't just. And she
Just
said
do it.
that she walked past her and that she felt that walking past her and ignoring her was enough to get the point
Right.
across. And
Mm.
Will, would that be enough for you?
Absolutely not. I need words. I
Yeah.
need words. Like either I mean, heaven forbid, the only other form of breakup that is nonverbal is if you block me on social media.
Mm.
If I find that on all the platforms I'm blocked, I kind of don't care what the reason is, unless you're like kidnapped and someone is trying to stage something.
Well, that is literally ghosting there when
Yeah,
you're
that's
blocking
like
people and you're cutting off all communication. Just yeah.
everything. But if we are in the same area and all you do is walk past me, I'm not going to take that as I will take that as you being distant, but I will not take that as breaking up with me. And of course, she already knew. She knew.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's
but
been a
words.
year. They had a whole season
Yes. Oh,
where
she
you did not see Jennifer at all. And
exactly. I'm saying like, what happened to Jen? And I guess this is a way of saying goodbye to Jen's character. So
plus, it's totally Andorian messing with her head, as she made very clear that she was messing with Mariner.
mhm.
She is getting transferred, and she wanted to, get this last dig at Mariner before she goes.
Right. Right.
I mean, I understand it. It's a little cute, but yeah, Andorians.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes you tend. It also makes you forget the fact that Jennifer wasn't promoted. You realize that, but I mean, there are opportunities for others to get promoted, obviously. But you remember that Jen is still an ensign, so
Mm.
chance she's going to a ship that has more Andorians on it. She'll be a lieutenant junior grade as well. Yeah, wish her the best.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure, she'll get promoted quicker than Harry.
Yep. Who we're still waiting to see.
We're still waiting to see. I can't wait to see what we do with that him.
Well, we know it's going to have to deal with the microfractures in space. Who knows? Maybe it's Harry Kim that's causing all these microfractures.
Man, maybe one of them just got tired and said, I'm not getting promoted here. Let me go to another universe, which he's done before.
True. Yep.
He's done before. He went through some sort of anomaly and made it to the same time period, but different set of events. And he was on Earth and Voyager was still lost.
Yep.
Like that is so maybe something happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I am so excited because I'm like, ooh, a new problem. Something that doesn't involve saving the galaxy again.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
All right. So of these two episodes, which do you like better?
Oh, I loved the second one more. I love the second one more.
I disagree. I mean, not disagree. I agree. Farewell to Fun is a superior episode because the A storyline was so good.
Yes.
With the Klingons, the B storyline was fun, but the A storyline was so good.
Right.
We got deep dives into Klingon and Kroathan cultures, which is always nice when you get a little bit more information about the Star Trek universe. We now know how they make blood wine.
Yes. So was that gah and they just grow it and then they just smush it into blood wine? Because what was that?
It's blood worms. I don't know if
Blood worms.
If Gok is, I don't believe Gok is the same thing.
Gah is more like, I don't know what gah is now, to be honest.
It's its own type of
food.
Worm or things. I mean,
so they love worms. Ferengi and Klingons have similar cuisines. No wonder they have sharp teeth.
Well, if you have the sharp teeth, you're obviously
some sort of predator. Like,
well, let's see. Okay, Gok was a Klingon delicacy made from serpent worms. Although most Klingons prefer to consume it alive, it could also be served stewed or cold.
And
then
got another comment for you after you're done.
Blood wine being It's bring me the best served warm. Okay. Oh, it is serpent worms. It's the same worms that are in Gok. So, yeah.
So they eat and drink ga.
Yes.
Nice. Rick, in the article, it said that what article? In the article, it said that the basic plot was about a group of Federation outsiders managing a kind of tourist planet while they are recorded. It's basically The Office in space.
Okay, that's more that I'd heard about that at all, and so okay.
Okay, we're learning something.
Yeah.
Or a concept. Is this a concept, or is this? What do you think, Rick? Is this a concept from that article you're reading, or is this like something, an official something? Like, because this is the first time me and Keith are even hearing about it. Like,
I mean, we heard that there was an idea, but that it would be focused in such a way like that, we had not heard. So,
right.
And it could be there was just been so many other things that were said that we just didn't pick up on because there was so much other stuff we were paying attention to at the time.
Right.
We just missed that, or I forgot about it. I forget about things sometimes. Sorry. What was your name again? Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. Shoot us any other additional questions or that you'd like to ask while we have about roughly almost 15 minutes left.
Okay, do you have the list of names of future episodes? Because for some reason, Memory Alpha doesn't have that list.
I kept it on here. Here we go.
Good. All right, thank you. So, okay. So yeah, the names have matched up. I don't know why Memory Alpha doesn't have this list. Okay, so next week, Starbase 80. So with a question mark.
Well, they did talk about oh, help me. It was either in the first episode of season 5 or this last episode. Something about the Captain Freeman was supposed to
in the first episode when they first come upon the fissure where they have the alternate Cerritos with Captain Becky Freeman, and we find out that their Captain Carol Freeman is at Starbase 80.
It's horrible.
And of course, that's where Mariner was set, and that's been the joke of you don't want to go. And like even the Admiral in Best Exotic Nanite Hotel said that he doesn't want to end up at Starbase 80. So yeah, so it's interesting. We're going to Starbase 80 that soon, next week's episode.
Right.
Okay.
The last time we saw Starbase 80 was when
Mariner was
sent there.
Yes.
Now it's the other way around.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Don't know. We don't know anything about next week's episode yet, so we'll see.
But yeah, that's what I really liked about this particular episode, The Farmer's One, is because if I recall, in TNG, an award was I don't know if it was like what kind of a filmmaking award was for the design of the Klingon homeworld, but it was like Academy level type stuff. I just remember it was that, and it reminded me of that when we got to see more of Qo'noS, and then it also reminded me of how much we got to explore Orion. Yeah. So it's like they really do a good job at expanding universes and really showing us, because it's like we've seen a buttload of Klingon warriors, we've seen a Klingon lawyer, we've seen a Klingon scientist. Now we get to see a Klingon, now farmer.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense.
They're expanding the universe without actually having to create anything major new. They don't have to create a whole new species. And in fact, in the Best Exotic Nanite Hotel, we also finally get to see a Galamite. The two people that Boimler was first being sent to talk to at the bar were Galamites with the translucent skull.
The translucent skull, we hear about them in Deep Space Nine.
Yes, there was the Captain Bodega of a Galamite captain who was constantly hitting on Dax.
Oh,
they kept on talking about how
now we know what one looks like.
Yep. They never did it on the show because they never knew how they were going to make it work with a translucent skull. And so we finally get it in lower decks, and that's Dax has some interesting taste there.
That is too cute. That is
Yep.
too cute. It's like Mojo Jojo. Like, just see the brain.
Okay, some other connections and Easter eggs that we had. Of course, Best Exotic Nanite Hotel gets its name from the 2011 British comedy The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Of course, first seeing the Gallimites. We had, of course, references to Apocalypse Now, references to, I guess it's kind of referencing, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say what exactly they're referencing, but the other ship that Jennifer's going to is the Manitoba. So it's continuing that bigger ships tend to have names, the Manitoba being one of the provinces in Canada. So they have AWOL Falls where they're hiding, and the Temple of Dread. You had the fake names that they tried to come up with: Zandy Billups, and Zed Ransom, and what was his other name? Zach Ransom. Gilbert Manhandle. Let's see, Krog on the Rocks. The upper class person is a Latinum elite. The Admiral is a Latinum elite member at the hotel. I'm just looking through Memory Alpha. Just a lot of little references. All right, then Farewell to Farms. Of course, that is from the Hemingway novel, Farewell to Arms.
Okay.
Experience Beige. Do you know this one, Will?
I
Experience
don't
Beige?
know. I don't know.
Okay,
Experience
this is a deep, deep cut, man. This is from Star Trek The Next Generation, a Klingon Challenge, a tabletop game. How old is this? When did it come out? 1993. Will, only year before you
1
were
year
born.
before I hear, yeah.
It was a video-based board game for 3 to 6 players. It was released mainly to capitalize on the flood of VCR board games.
Wow.
And it's you're going with the crew of the Enterprise after a renegade Klingon named Kavak. He's hijacked the Enterprise D and set course for Qo'noS. The ship has a skeleton crew aboard. That's the players, being Riker, Picard, and the crew has 60 minutes, possibly less, because of localized disturbances in the space-time continuum before the ship reaches Klingon space, and Kavak uses it to start a new Federation Klingon conflict. So you have to obtain 5 linear chips they can use to reprogram their tricorders, as well as accessing the security room to pick up a phaser before reaching the bridge to stop Kavak. You have holodeck cards, and then of course you have beige cards. Players experience a forfeit at the top of the card in the event of a system's malfunction immediately after a declaration of beige. The player receives the positive bonus at the bottom of the card, much to the dismay of Kavak. So you have that experience beige. Basically, you will be punished. Experience beige. So yes, a deep cut on that one. But then, of course, another deep cut is the armor that is knocked over, that's behind Barg when they're fighting, with Mach and Barg are fighting, is the Klingon Honor Guard armor as seen in Star Trek Online. So lots of references there. The voice actor for Barg, Colton Dunn, is the same voice actor that did the brother back in Wage Douche. I mentioned Mary Chieffo. Corin, the Klingon other top person that's a friend with Meritor, is voiced by Jess Harnell. If that name sounds familiar, he's best known as Wacko from Animaniacs. Various other shows over the years. And Sam Witwer, known from voicing many role in the Star Wars universe, is the voice of Sir Legnog in A Farewell to Farms, the male Klandathu species. So Sam Witwer's best known for voicing Darth Maul, and he's been in some live action things, including Supergirl, the one season. He wears the bad guy. He played a Xindi arboreal technician back in season 3 of Enterprise, and he was a contributor to the DS9 documentary What We Left Behind. Let's see, as well as Legnog and Malor in A Farewell to Farm. So it's nice seeing. He's an excellent voice actor. He's an excellent actor, period. It's nice to see him not have to slum it around the Star Wars universe constantly. Let me see what else. Any other Easter eggs that I saw? We did not see Ta'ana or Jax this episode, but they were still in it. Ta'ana, Gillian Vigman, with the voice of Lady Gonald, and Fred Tatasciore, the voice of Jax, was one of the Oversight Council chamber workers. And we didn't have Ransom, but Jerry O'Connell voiced one of the bikers that yelled "Experience Beige." So even though their characters weren't in it, they had other roles. All right, so yeah, Malor being the brother. Malor is Moth's brother. That was Sam Witwer as well. And we got Migleemo's first name, Gabbers. Cloacan. Let's see things. Of course, the continued use of Chadich. We had reference to Feklar. We found out that how Feklar was killed was by the thorns that Kahless had, going through the thorns and used the thorns to fashion a weapon to destroy Feklar. Of course, Feklar we saw in the Devil's Due and but in TNG episode in which it was a planet that was being threatened by basically their devil, and they had to forfeit, and then she was proving to the Enterprise crew that she was the devil by turning into Feklar. And Worf's like, "You're no Feklar."
Like he was unfazed.
Yeah. We had a lot of Klingon swearing. The ritual of Jaturg, Romulan spies, and just
my favorite Klingon word was "tadooge." I like that word so much.
And of course, we do have Boimler finally facing the fact that he shouldn't have stayed on the Titan, and it was good that he came back to the Cerritos to be with his friends. He's got his promotion now anyway, but it took a little bit longer, but he's back where he belongs. Yeah. All right, quick news list. They are now starting the promotions for Section 31. There was an interview done that was done at New York Comic Con, but it's now been released. And both Trek Movie and Trek Core have shared bits of it, in which he's talking to Casey Roll, Amari Hardwick, and Robert Kaczynski about their roles. Today, an Instagram story went out where you have basically Instagram trading cards for each cast member of the Section 31 cast. So, you have who they are, their character name, and some other character thing about them. And of course, Michelle Yeoh is listed as Giorgio the Emperor. And so they have begun starting prayer to promote the movie, which will be out on January 24th. There's the new Lower Decks card game, Buffer Time, is now out. Here's another one. Jerry Ryan was doing an interview at SpaceCon, and she was asked about our favorite topic,
Low Legacy.
And she said that she was offered a spinoff, and she turned them down.
Huh?
She was offered a spinoff, and she said, "You know what? I want to keep going with this character. That's an interesting idea, but not for me. So I want Legacy." They offered her something else. Yep, sorry.
Scared the shit out of me. Oh my God. I was like, what?
They offered her something else, and she turned them down, saying Legacy or nothing.
Wow.
And considering how she has continued to, she hasn't had a lot of steady work this year, but she's been very active politically this year. So she was spending a lot of time. She was going around knocking on doors for the Harris Walls campaign. I'm like, why couldn't she come to my neighborhood? I mean, yes, she would have seen the sign and probably not knocked, but I
Please.
wasn't a swing, not a swing state, no. Yeah. Oh, it was close. But yeah, so Jerry said she basically, if you're going to come to me for an offer, and of course, why would they not want to come back to Jerry Ryan? And we all love her. She's absolutely fantastic in the role. Yeah, let's make Legacy happen. And Terry Matalas is currently making the new Vision series for Disney Plus. Continuing the story. It's the other sequel to WandaVision. We had the first one, Agatha All Along, that just wrapped up last week. It was fantastic.
It was very good.
So good, yeah.
Pretty
and
sure
so knowing that Terry Matalas is running Vision Quest, the next one, I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, we're just under an hour. I've been talking for way too much. Will, you got anything?
I enjoyed both episodes. A Farewell to Farms more so than the other. Mainly, not to say that the Nanite Hotel was bad. It wasn't bad. It's just that Farewell was more canonically expansive, and I really enjoyed seeing more of the Klingon homeworld. I loved it. And then I liked if not to say that she's not a good captain, and I didn't see her do this before, but I loved Freeman standing up for a crewmate, like right there on the spot repeatedly.
Yep.
Repeatedly. And of course, I mean, these bird people were like being douches. Like, and so they had to eat douche just to get put in their place. Like
yeah, somebody has seen The Help.
Someone has seen The Help. And what's crazy is I was literally just watching scenes from The Help earlier today. Nice. And eat my shit, she said. I'm like, run, Minnie, run! Like, and then I see this, and you're telling me, like, no, this isn't like the regular replicator type. No, they actually took shit and color coded it to make it look like this shit. Like, so I'm just like, and they have well, they don't really go into how they lost their taste buds, or sense of taste.
No, they did.
They did? What? Oh, they did. What did they just keep? Did they just keep trying food so much that it just burnt out or something? Or what?
No, it's the stress. Migleemo diagnosed them. It's the stress.
Oh, I thought they had stress from not having the sense of taste.
No.
So in their head they were still. Oh,
no, the stress of being the official taste buds for their culture got to them, and they lost their taste. Like how
so it was
people
easier
can
for
go
them
numb
to say,
at times, and
yeah, it was easier for them to say everything tasted horrible versus
everyone would agree
I can't
with
taste
them.
anything. Because I'm sitting here going like, I'm not saying that giant fish head was something that I would eat, but there was so much love put into that I would have at least tried a bite.
I want the steak and mac and cheese that he put down first. I want that. That needs to be right here, and I will eat that. I don't care if it's replicated. In fact, I want a replicator, so I will
that
take.
Mac and cheese look fire. Oh my god! Like,
seriously,
who has mac and cheese in Star Trek?
That might be one of the first references to mac and cheese we've had.
Well, just like in Enterprise when Tucker asked for one pan-fried catfish and then it just added sides that he didn't ask for. Yeah. Like, I was just like, bruh. And then he said, not bad.
Well, I mean, there are certain meals that should come with certain sides. And they matched it well. So, but yeah, that was... Yeah, I could go for a steak and mac and cheese right now.
I literally had a chicken fried steak the other day, and with mashed potatoes, and I had a side of shrimp, and it was ooh. I'm sorry. I'm getting caught up on food now. I shouldn't. But anyway, we made it to exactly 1 hour, which is great.
So remember to like and share. Thank you, Rick, for commenting today. And you're always welcome. Anyone here watching is welcome to be part of the conversation with us.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next week as we're talking about Starbase 80.
Starbase 80. I hope they got good food there. Bye. Wait, Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you being right now? I gotta know.
I'm serious, dude. You got
like 10 out of 10 serious, or picking on Michael serious? Which one?
There is no temperature in space. It's not cold.
What are you serious?
Okay, wait.
Who is this? Oh dear God! It just got better.
Because you said his name.
Welcome to the party, Michael.
No, that is not how we're going to end the episode, because Keith actually has like a legitimate news update. He knows shit, and we should possibly like convey that knowledge.
That's my favorite line. He knows shit.
It's just like a black and red mound. It's like.
Why are you describing yourself?
What the hell?
Hello from
Hey, Virgil.
Hey,
Virgil.
welcome.
Hello, Virgil. Welcome. Who are you?
Who?